When I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I was certainly concerned with my ability to conceive because there is a correlation between having Hashimoto's and fertility. And a goal of mine and my partner, Jesse, has always been to have a family. But I have to say that I never let it stress me out. I just always knew I was destined to be a mom. I always knew that there was going to be some way I was going to get pregnant, no matter what that took. When I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's, an inflammatory condition of the thyroid gland, I was experiencing all kinds of symptoms that were just so different from where I was in previous years, where my health felt so good and so vibrant. All of a sudden, I was feeling slowed down. I felt like my energy was tapped. I felt like I was not so much gaining weight, but just my metabolism felt sluggish. I was feeling puffy and inflamed. So there was just so many little factors that kind of came in, and I started doing my own research. I started asking questions. I started listening to guests that were on my podcast, and I was listening to what they were saying, and I was starting to connect the dots. So I knew that there was something going on. So I sought out some help from some functional medicine doctors and some NDs, and did some digging, did some blood work, which was really the helpful component of this, where I got to see where my inflammatory markers were. And that's what showed me that I had Hashimoto's. And once I had that information, I was able to kind of take that into my own hands and start to heal. When I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I was certainly concerned with my ability to conceive because there is a correlation between having Hashimoto's and fertility. But I have to say that I never let it stress me out. I just always knew I was going to get pregnant no matter what that took. And once I had that information, I was able to kind of take that into my own hands. And I went on to different gut protocols and different healing protocols and made sure I was on the right thyroid support to help my body and help my metabolism. And it took a couple of years to feel better. And my diet was a big component of that as well. So I think having that foundation, not only the foundation of my health and everything that I've been doing for the last 20 years, which is eating clean, living clean, using natural products in my home, taking time to take care of myself, whether that was meditating, going for walks, all the things that I could do when I didn't have kids. And then doing the deep dive into healing protocols and detoxes and everything I could to just get my body in a better place for me first. I think all of that paved the way for my body to be in a great place to conceive. So the advice that I would give to someone looking to start a family would be to make sure that you do all the things that you can do within your control as early on as possible. When it came time to really start talking about children, that's when, we realized we wanted to take our health to a whole other level. And we both did some of these healing protocols together. So I was working with the same functional medicine team that Jesse was as well. We both tackled our health to make sure that we were in an optimal place, and that took a couple of years. And I felt really good doing the work that I did on my body and on my health, knowing that I was in the best possible place mentally and physically to bring children into this world. So we started family planning with, just the desire at first to know that we both wanted to become parents, and it was a very natural process. And as I went through my pregnancy, I had an incredible pregnancy both times. I carried well, I felt amazing, I love the whole experience of it. When you're pregnant with your first and you don't have another child to look after, you realize when you're pregnant with your second how easy that was to do all the things that you could do. Because I was pregnant with my son, and I'm carrying a toddler and rushing around and doing all these things, you have less and less time for you as a mom. I had 2 home births, so both of my children were delivered at home. With my daughter, I wanted to deliver in the water in a birth tub. but I wasn't able to because of her positioning and how things went down. So I ended up delivering her on a pull-up bed in her basement. And with my son, I was able to deliver him in a birthing tub, which was just a magical experience because that's something I just always wanted to experience. So it was just so lovely. And I'm not going to say they were easy, but they were beautiful experiences. It is just so incredible to pull this little human up onto your chest. And especially with my daughter, because we didn't know what she was. We just see this little human, this healthy little human, and you just love it so much from the second you see it. And you're just like, this is the most beautiful thing. And it came out of my body. And how did this happen? We were able to move her umbilical cord away and see that she was a girl. We were like, oh my God, this is magic. And with my son, it was magical in a whole different way. We knew that it was going to be a boy. We knew his name. We were saying, like, Hayden, we're so excited for you to come. I was able to have my hands down in the water in the birthing tub and bring him up. And my husband was behind me, Jesse, and we had this experience of bringing him up out of the water onto our bodies. And it was just pure, there's no other word but magic. It really is just the most magical thing to create a human and to hold it in your arms. So life after kids is very different than life before kids, and any parent will attest to that. But at the same time, it's like you didn't really know what life was like without having your kids, because it's just so enriched and so beautiful and so flavorful and so dynamic. It comes with so much joy and lots of setbacks, but it just makes you grow as a person and as a human. And as they continue to grow as little humans, you just want to guide them in the best way possible. So my daughter Sorrel is 3 years old. She just turned 3. And my son Hayden is 14 months. He's going on 15 months very soon. And having 2 kids is, it's the most amazing thing, but it makes, having to think about things a little bit deeper, organizing yourself, stretching yourself between 2 beings and how you can give to both of them equally. You can have the goal of doing things a certain way, because before you come into motherhood, you're like, this is how I'm going to do things, and I'm going to be this kind of mom, and we're not going to do this, and we're not going to do that. And then life happens, and you can't really know until you know, or until you're in it. Time is of the essence, in the mornings or in the evenings, and the decisions that we're making around mealtime or around screen time or around toys or all these things. You got to just sometimes do what you got to do. And even if it wasn't what I had set out to do when I initially became a mom, you got to course correct and go with the flow a lot. You just got to make sometimes decisions in the moment, and whether you are the one making those decisions, but sometimes your kids are the ones making those decisions, and you have to just kind of go along with what they want or what they need, or just what makes sense at the time. It's tough. It's a lot tougher than before kids, because I used to really value my morning routine and get up early and drink water and exercise and sit and drink my green tea by myself. It's a lot harder. I don't really have a morning routine anymore. My morning routine involves my son. So my self-care time has to kind of come in pockets throughout the day, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's making an appointment for myself to go and get a massage done, which is very rare, which is me going out for lunch with a friend. Even if it's with my son, it's still self-care, because I'm doing something that's, for me, and he's part of it. And cooking. I love to cook. It is harder now to cook with a little toddler at my feet all the time, but if I find creative ways. I'm in my kitchen right now, and I've got toy stations set up everywhere so that when I'm cooking, he can be busy doing something. Taking a shower at night by myself. So those are kind of the ways that I have it in my routine right now. Approaching motherhood and everything that entails from a natural perspective has just always been aligned with who I am. I've been interested in health and wellness from an early age. So there was no doubt in my mind that when I was going to become a mom, that I was going to continue these values into everything from pregnancy to how I want to deliver my children to how I want to raise them. And what that means to me and the things that I talk about on my podcast is as little intervention as possible and things that just feel right, that just make sense to you as a mom, because there's a lot of decisions to be made from the second that you find out that you're pregnant. There's so many questions that come along the way, and you have to make the decisions, and you're navigating this path of, am I doing this right? And how should I be doing this? And how can I do this naturally and stay in tune and in line with my core values? And this came up very early on, especially with breastfeeding, when I was having a challenge with breast milk supply. And I had the conversation within 2 weeks of having my baby girl that maybe I need to go on a medication to help bring up my breast milk supply. And right away it was like, no, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel right. I need to find another path. And it was a very challenging path because I had to kind of keep at it. My boobs were hurting. I wasn't producing enough milk. She was not gaining weight. So there's just so many challenges that come with having children that you have to navigate as a new mom. And every time that things came up, I would tune in and see if it felt right. If I didn't know much about it, I'd do some more research. And then I always chose the simplest, easiest approach for me and my baby. And it's really paid off because I'm seeing them both grow into two healthy, beautiful people, and I wouldn't have done them any differently.